This is the story of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Perhaps the most remarkable, certainly the most successful book ever to come out of the great publishing corporations of Ursa Minor. More popular than the Celestial Home Care Omnibus, better selling than 53 More Things to Do in Zero Gravity, and more controversial than Ulan Kalufid's trilogy of philosophical blockbusters, Where God Went Wrong, Some More of God's Greatest Mistakes, and Who Is This God Person Anyway? And in many of the more relaxed civilizations on the outer eastern rim of the galaxy, The Hitchhiker's Guide has already supplanted the great Encyclopedia Galactica as the standard repository of all knowledge and wisdom. For though it has many omissions, contains much that is apocryphal, or at least wildly inaccurate, it scores over the older, more pedestrian work in two important respects. First, it is slightly cheaper, and secondly, it has the words, "Don't Panic," inscribed in large, friendly letters on the cover. To tell the story of the book, it is best to tell the story of some of those whose lives it affected. A human from the planet Earth was one of them. Though, as our story opens, he no more knows his destiny than a tea leaf knows the history of the East India Company. His name is Arthur Dent. He is a 6-foot-tall ape descendant, and someone is trying to drive a bypass through his home.
Come off it, Mr. Dent. You can't win, you know. You can't lie in front of the bulldozers indefinitely.
I'm game. We'll see who rusts first.
You're going to have to accept it, you know. This bypass has got to be built, and it's going to be built. Nothing you can
Why
say...
has it got to be built?
What do you mean, why has it got to be built? It's a bypass. Got to build bypasses. You were quite entitled to make any suggestion or protest at the appropriate time.
Appropriate time? The first I heard about it was when a workman arrived at the door yesterday. I thought he'd come to clean the windows. He told me he'd come to demolish the house. He didn't sell me straight away, of course. No, first he wiped a couple of windows and charged me a £5. Then he told me.
But, Mr. Dent, the plans have been available in the planning office for the last 9 months.
Oh, yes. Well, of course, as soon as I heard, I went straight round to see them. You hadn't exactly gone out of your way to call much attention to them, had you? Like telling anybody or anything?
But the plans were on display.
On display? I eventually had to go down to the cellar.
That's the display department.
With a torch.
The lights are probably gone.
So had the stairs.
But you did see the notice, didn't you?
Oh, yes. It was on display in the bottom of a locked filing cabinet stuck in a disused lavatory with a sign outside the door saying, "Beware of the leopard." Ever thought of going into advertising? You don't get me like that, either.
Mr. Dent.
Hello, yes?
Have you any idea how much damage this bulldozer would suffer if I were to let it roll straight over you?
How much?
None at all.
By a strange coincidence, none at all is exactly how much suspicion the ape descendant Arthur Dent had that one of his closest friends was not descended from an ape, but was in fact from a small planet somewhere in the vicinity of Betelgeuse. Arthur Dent's failure to suspect this reflects the care with which his friend blended himself into human society after a fairly shaky start. When he first arrived 15 years ago, the minimal research he had done suggested to him that the name Ford Prefect would be nicely inconspicuous. will enter our story in 30 seconds and say, "Hello, Arthur." The ape descendant will greet him in return, but in deference to 1,000,000 years of human evolution, he will not attempt to pick fleas off him. Earthmen are not proud of their ancestors and never invite them round to dinner.
Hello, Arthur.
Claude. Hi, how are you?
Fine. Look, are you busy?
Busy? Well, I've just got this bulldozer to lie in front of, or it'll knock my house down. But otherwise, no, not especially. Why?
Good. Anywhere we can talk?
What?
We've got to talk.
Fine, talk.
And drink. It's vitally important that we talk and drink. Now. We'll go to the pub in the village.
Ford, you don't understand. That man wants to knock my house down.
Well, he can do that whilst you're away, can't he?
But I don't want him to.
Ah.
Ford, what's the matter?
Nothing. Nothing's the matter. Listen to me. I've got to tell you the most important thing you've ever heard. I've got to tell you now, and I've got to tell you in the saloon bar of the Red Lion.
Why?
Because you're going to need a very stiff drink.
No, what about my house?
He wants to knock your house down.
Yes.
And he can't because you're lying in the way of his bulldozer.
Exactly.
I think we can come to some arrangement. Excuse me.
Hello? Yes? Has Mr. Dent come to his senses yet?
Can we for the moment assume that he hasn't?
Well?
Can we also assume that he's going to be staying there all day?
So?
So? All your men are going to be standing around here all day doing nothing.
Could be, could be.
Well, if you resign to doing that anyway, you don't actually need him to lie there all the time, do you?
Not as such, no. Not exactly need.
Well, if you just like to take it as read that he's actually there, then he and I could slip off down the pub for half an hour. How does that sound?
Sounds perfectly reasonable, I suppose.
And if you'd like to pop off for a quick on yourself later on, we could always cover for you in return.
Oh, thanks. Thank you very much. That's very kind.
So, if you'd just like to come here and lie down.
What?
It's very simple. My client, Mr. Dent, says he will stop lying here in the mud on the sole condition that you take over from him.
What are you talking about?
Shh.
Sorry. You want me to come and lie down there?
Yes.
In front of the bulldozer?
Yes.
Instead of Mr. Dent?
Yes.
In the mud?
In, as you say, the mud.
In return for which, you will take Mr. Dent with you down to the pub?
Yes.
Promise?
Promise. Get up, let the man lie down.
Thank you.
No sneaky knocking Mr. Dent's house down while he's away. All right?
The slightest thought hadn't even begun to speculate about the merest possibility of crossing my mind.
Can we trust him?
Myself, I trust him to the end of the year.
Yes, but how far's that?
About 12 minutes away. Come on, we've got to get some alcohol.
Here's what the Encyclopedia Galactica has to say about alcohol. It says that alcohol is a colorless, volatile liquid formed by the fermentation of sugars, and also notes its intoxicating effect on certain carbon-based life forms. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy also mentions alcohol. It says that the best drink in existence is the Pan-Galactic Gargle Blaster. The effect of which is like having your brains smashed out with a slice of lemon, wrapped round a large gold brick. The guide also tells you on which planets the best Pan-Galactic Gargle Blasters are mixed, how much you can expect to pay for one, and what voluntary organizations exist to help you rehabilitate. The man who invented this mind-pummeling drink also invented the wisest remark ever made, which was this: never drink more than 2 pan-galactic gargle blasters unless you are a 30-ton mega-elephant with bronchial pneumonia. His name is Zaphod Beeblebrox, and we shall learn more of his wisdom later.
Docking coupler disengaged. Go for departure.
6 pints of bitter. And please, the boat's about to end.
Oh, yes, sir. Nice weather for it. Going to Manchester, I've noticed. All got conclusion then, eh? Arsenal without a chance?
No, it's just the boat's about to end.
Oh, yes. Lucky escape for Arsenal, indeed. There you are, sir. 6 pints.
Keep the change.
What, for a fiver, sir? Oh, thank you, sir.
You've got 10 minutes left to spend it.
Ford, will you please tell me what the hell's going on? I think I'm beginning to lose my grip on the day.
Drink up, you've got 3 pints to get through.
3 pints? Lunchtime?
Signing off.
Time is an illusion. Lunchtime doubly so.
Very deep. You should send that into the Reader's Digest. They've got a page for people like you.
Drink up.
Why 3 pints?
Muscle relaxant. You're going to need it.
Did I do something wrong this morning, or has the world always been like this and I've been too wrapped up in myself to notice?
I'll try to explain. How long have we known each other, Arthur?
5 years, maybe 6. Most of it seemed to make some kind of sense at the time.
How would you react if I told you that I'm not from Guildford after all? I'm from a small planet somewhere in the vicinity of Beetlejuice.
I don't know. Why? Do you think it's the sort of thing you're likely to say?
Drink up. The day's about to end.
This must be Thursday. I never could get the hang of Thursdays.
On this particular Thursday, things were moving through the ionosphere many miles above the surface of the planet. Several huge yellow slab-like somethings, huge as office blocks, silent as birds. They hung in the air exactly the same way that bricks don't. The planet was almost totally oblivious of their presence. They went unnoticed at Goonhilly, they passed over Cape Canaveral without a blip, and Woomera and Jodrell Bank looked straight through them. Which was a pity, because it was exactly the sort of thing they'd been looking for all these years. Arthur Dent, too, had other things on his mind.
What's that?
Don't worry, they haven't started yet.
Good.
It's probably just your house being knocked down.
What?
5 minutes to go.
Damn you and your fairy stories! They're smashing up my home! Stop, you vandals, you home wreckers, you half-raised fizzing off! Stop!
Arthur, come back! It's pointless! Bum, quickly, can you just give me 4 packets of peanuts?
Just a minute, sir. I'm just serving this gentleman.
Now, what's the point? He's going to be dead in a few minutes. So come on.
Yeah, just a minute, sir.
Do you mind, sir?
Peanuts? How much?
What?
Have it.
You serious, sir? Do you really think the world's going to end this afternoon?
Yes, in just over 3 minutes and 5 seconds.
Well, isn't there anything we can do?
No, nothing.
I always thought we were supposed to lie down or put a paper bag over your head or something.
Yes, if you like.
Oh, that help.
No, excuse me, I've got to go.
Oh, well then. Last orders, please.
You pitch-like barbarians! I'll sue the council for every penny it's got! I'll have you hung, drawn, and quartered, and whipped, and boiled, until you've had enough!
Father, there's no point. There's only a minute or so left.
And then I'll do it some more, and then I'll take all the little bits and I'll jump on them, and I'll carry on jumping them until I get blisters, or I think of something even more pleasant to do. What the hell's that?
Arthur, quick, over here! Vogon Constructor Fleet! I picked up news of their arrival a few hours ago on my sub-ether radio.
Ford, I don't think I can cope with much more of this. I think I'm going to have a little lie down somewhere.
Stay here! Stay calm! Now take hold of this!
People of Earth, your attention, please. This is Prostatnik Vogon Jeltz of the Galactic Hyperspace Planning Council. As you are probably aware, the plans for the development of the unlying regions of the western spiral arm of the galaxy require the building of a hyperspace express route through your star system. And regrettably, your planet is one of those scheduled for demolition. The process will take slightly less than 2 of your Earth minutes. Thank you very much. All the planning charts and demolition orders have been on display at your local planning department at Alpha Centauri for 50 of your Earth years. And so you've had plenty of time to lodge any formal complaints, and it's far too late to start making a fuss about it now. What do you mean you've never been to Alpha Centauri? Oh, for heaven's sake, mankind. It's only 4 light years away, you know. I'm sorry, but if you can't be bothered to take an interest in local affairs, let your own look out. Energize the demolition beam. God, I don't know, apathetic, bloody planet, I've no sympathy at all.
I don't have the landing thing. Oh well.
I bought some peanuts. We've just been through a matter transference beam. You've probably lost some salt and protein. The beer you had should have cushioned your system a bit. How are you feeling?
Like a military academy. Bits of me keep passing out. Ford, if I were to ask you where the hell you were, would I regret it?
You're safe.
Good.
We're in a cabin in one of the spaceships of the Vogon Constructor Fleet.
Ah, this is obviously some strange usage of the word safe that I hadn't previously been aware of. What are you doing?
Looking for the light.
How did we get here?
We hitched a lift.
Excuse me? Are you telling me that we just stuck our thumbs out and some green, bug-eyed monster popped his head out and said, "Hi, fellas, hop right in, I can take you as far as the Basingstoke roundabout"?
Well, the thumb's an electronic sub-ether device, the roundabout's at Barnard Star, but otherwise that's more or less right.
And the bug-eyed monster?
Is green, yes.
Fine. When can I go home?
You can't.
Good grief. Is this really the interior of a flying saucer?
Yes. What do you think?
Well, it's a bit squalid, isn't it?
What the hell is it? Oh, come on, let's get out of here.
Ford, it's going to attack us!
No. It just wants us to turn the lights out. Come on. Shh. Sleeping quarters. We woke them up.
They were... what? Aliens? Tracy.
Landing sequence completed. Deploying ground crew.
Ford? What's going on?
Here, have a look at this.
What is it?
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, a sort of electronic book. Tell you everything you want to know.
I like the cover. Don't panic. It's the first helpful or intelligible thing anyone said to me all day.
Yes, that's why it sells so well.
Shh!
Don't panic. Look. Fast Wine Index, V. Vogon Constructor Fleets. Enter that code, see what it says, and I'll keep watch.
Vogon Constructor Fleets. Here is what to do if you want to get a lift from a Vogon. Forget it. They are one of the most unpleasant races in the galaxy. Not actually evil, but bad-tempered, bureaucratic, officious, and callous. They wouldn't even lift a finger to save their own grandmothers from the ravenous bug-blatter beast of Trial without orders. Signed in triplicate, sent in, sent back, queried, lost, found, subjected to public inquiry, lost again, and finally buried in soft peat for 3 months and recycled as firelighters. The best way to get a drink out of a Vogon is to stick your finger down his throat. And the best way to annoy him is to feed his grandmother to the ravenous bug-blatter beast of Trial.
What an extraordinary book. How did we get on board, then?
Dentrassi let us on board.
I thought you said they were called Bogons.
Vogons?
Not Dentrassi.
No. Dentrassi are the in-flight caterers. Hey! Hagra Biscuit. The greatest. You'll love these guys. They cook the hoopiest food in the whole of the West Galaxy. Go on. Have a bite. Go on. Try it. Your mouth will love you for the rest of your life.
Whoa. It's revolting.
Oh, come on. This stuff is the greatest.
Hatch complete. Go for departure.
I think those guys must really hate the Vogons. Now remember this. Dentrassi hate Vogons. That's why they let us on board. Let's go.
But if the Dentrassi let us on board, why doesn't the guide mention them?
It's not very accurate. I'm researching a new edition. Storeroom.
Scan detected.
Where are we going?
Who knows? Off this ship, that's for sure.
Well, we've only just arrived. Hadn't we better say hello and thank you and things?
Listen. This is a Vogon spaceship. Just pick up what we need and we get off. Right?
Power down.
Right.
Systems immediately. All clear. Watch your 6, Commander.
Stun guns.
Any good?
No.
Ford, who are you?
I told you. I'm a field researcher for the guide. Telecom systems. Got stuck on the Earth longer than I meant. Went for a week, got stuck for 15 years. Tele-psychic helmets.
But how did you get here in the first place?
Easy. Got a lift with a teaser. Brains?
Teasers?
Yeah. Teasers are rich kids with nothing to do. They cruise around the galaxy looking for planets that no one's made interstellar contact yet with and buzz them.
Buzz them?
Yeah. They find some isolated spot and land right by some unsuspecting soul that no one's ever going to believe and strut up and down in front of them making beep, beep noises. Rather childish, really. Ah.
3, 2.
The tower. keep this unguarded with your life.
Huh?
Listen, it's a tough universe. There's all sorts of people and things trying to do you, kill you, rip you off, everything. If you're going to survive out there, you've really got to know where your towel is. Now, fish.
Huh?
Fish. Over here, I think.
Fish?
Fish.
Very nice.
Very, very useful.
What do you expect me to do with that?
Stick it in your ear. What? It's only a little one. Listen, that's that. Listen, it's important.
What?
It's the Vogon captain.
I can't speak Vogon.
You don't have to. Just put this in your ear.
Have a good time. Message repeat. This is your captain speaking, so stop whatever you're doing and pay attention. First of all, I see from our instruments that we have a couple of hitchhikers on board our ship. Hello, wherever you are. I just want to make it totally clear that you are not at all welcome. I worked hard to get where I am today, and I didn't become the captain of a Vogon ship simply to turn it into a taxi service for a lot of degenerate freeloaders. I've sent out a search party, and as soon as they find you, I shall turn you off the ship. If you're very lucky, I might read you some of my poetry first. Now, secondly, we're about to jump into hyperspace for the journey to Barnard Star. On arrival, we will stay in dock for 72 hours, and all planet leave is cancelled. I've just had an unhappy love affair, so I don't see why anybody else should have a good time. Message ends.
Poetry? What are you doing?
Preparing for hyperspace. It's rather unpleasantly like being drunk.
What's so wrong about being drunk?
Ask a glass of water. Now, lie down, on your back, grip the towel between your ankles like this.
What?
Just do it.
Like this?
Right. Now, wait.
Excuse me, Ford, but what exactly am I doing with this fish in my ear?
It's translating for you. Look in the book under Babelfish.
What's happening? We're going into hyperspace. I'll never be cruel to a gin and tonic again.
The Babelfish is small, yellow, leech-like, and probably the oddest thing in the universe. It feeds on brainwave energy, absorbing all unconscious frequencies and then excreting telepathically a matrix formed from the conscious frequencies and nerve signals picked up from the speech centers of the brain. The practical upshot of which is that if you stick one in your ear, you instantly understand anything said to you in any form of language. The speech you hear decodes the brainwave matrix. Now, it is such a bizarrely improbable coincidence that anything so mind-bogglingly useful could evolve purely by chance that many thinkers have chosen to see it as a final and clinching proof of the non-existence of God. The argument runs something like this. I refuse to prove that I exist, says God, for proof denies faith, and without faith I'm nothing. But, says man, the Babelfish is a dead giveaway, isn't it? It proves you exist, and so therefore you don't. QED. Oh dear, says God, I hadn't thought of that, and promptly vanishes in a puff of logic. Oh, that was easy, says man, and for an encore, he goes on to prove that black is white, and gets killed on the next zebra crossing. Most leading theologians claim that this argument is a load of dingo's kidneys. But this didn't stop Ulan Kalufin making a small fortune when he used it as the central theme for his best-selling book, Well, That About Wraps It Up for God. Meanwhile, the poor Babelfish, by effectively removing all barriers to communications between different cultures and races, has caused more and bloodier wars than anything else in the history of creation.
Hey, Ford, this towel's moved.
Yes. That's a 6 light-year jump. Good. That means we're near Barnard Star. We can jump a ship there.
Can we?
Look, I hate to ask this, Ford, but what exactly am I doing here?
Simple. I rescued you from the Earth.
Well, what happened to the Earth?
It's been disintegrated.
Has it?
Yes. It just boiled away into space.
Listen, I'm a bit upset about that.
Oh, well.
All gone? Nothing left? What about the book? Maybe the book's got something. It doesn't seem to have an entry.
Yes, it does. At the bottom of the screen, under eccentric aglomerates, the triple-breasted whore of Erotcon 6.
Oh, yes. What's it say? Harmless. Just one word, harmless?
Well, it's the old edition. Listen, there are 100 billion stars in the galaxy and not much space in the book. And no one knew much about the Earth then, of course.
Well, I hope you've managed to rectify that a bit.
Well, yes, I transmitted a new entry off to the editor. He had to trim it a bit, but it's still an improvement.
What's it say now?
Mostly harmless.
Mostly harmless?
Oh, come. I think that's pretty good coverage for a disintegrated pile of rubble.
I see, and that's supposed to make me feel better, is it?
Come on, let's get down to the teleport.
What the hell's that?
Well, if we're lucky, it's a Vogon guard come to throw us into space.
And if we're unlucky?
The Vogon captain might want to read us some of his poetry first.
Far out, in the uncharted backwaters of the unfashionable end of the western spiral arm of the galaxy, lies a small, unregarded yellow sun. Orbiting this at a distance of roughly 92 million miles is an utterly insignificant little blue-green planet whose ape-descended life forms are so amazingly primitive that they still think digital watches are a pretty neat idea. This planet has, or had, a problem, which was this. Most of the people living on it were unhappy for pretty much of the time. Many solutions were suggested for this problem, but most of these were largely concerned with the movements of small green pieces of paper. Which is odd, because on the whole, it wasn't these small green pieces of paper that were unhappy. And so the problem remained. And lots of the people were mean, and most of them were miserable, even the ones with digital watches. Many were increasingly of the opinion that they'd all made a big mistake in coming down from the trees in the first place. And some said that even the trees had been a bad move and that no one should ever have left the oceans. And then, one day, nearly 2,000 years after one man had been nailed to a tree for saying how great it would be to be nice to people for a change, a girl, sitting on her own in a small cafe in Rickmansworth, suddenly realized what it was that had been going wrong all this time, and she finally knew how the world could be made a good and happy place. This time it was right, it would work, and no one would have to get nailed to anything. Sadly, however, before she could get to a phone to tell anyone, the Earth was unexpectedly demolished to make way for a hyperspace bypass, and so the idea was lost forever. Meanwhile, Arthur Dent has escaped from the Earth in the company of a friend of his who has unexpectedly turned out to be from a small planet somewhere in the vicinity of Betelgeuse, and not from Guildford after all. His name is Ford Prefect, reasons which are unlikely to become clear again at the moment, and they are currently hiding in a storeroom of a Vogon spaceship.
Hell's that? Well, if we're lucky, it's a Vogon guard come to throw us into space.
And if we're unlucky?
Vogon Captain might want to read us some of his poetry first.
Old Freddle's grunt buggly, thine information start of me as blurdle dabble blodgets in a lurgid bee that morgiously hath blurted out its earth-head jumples into a rancid festred conception orchestra. Now, the jerking, slaged agrocrustules are slurping angrily on the...
Vogon poetry is, of course, the third worst in the universe. The second worst is that of the Azgoths of Kriya. During a recitation by their poet-master Grunthos the Flatulent of his poem Ode to a Small Lump of Green Putty I Found in My Armpit One Midsummer Morning, 4 of his audience died of internal hemorrhaging, and the president of the Mid-Galactic Heart-Snobbling Council only survived by gnawing one of his own legs off. Grunthos is reported to have been disappointed by the poem's reception and was about to embark on a reading of his 12-book epic entitled Zen and the Art of Going to the Rabbit, when his own major intestine, in a desperate attempt to save life-kind, leapt straight up through his neck and throttled his brain. The very worst poetry of all, and its creator, Paula Nancy Millstone Jennings of Greenbridge, Essex, England, perished in the destruction of the planet Earth. Vogon poetry is mild by comparison.
Now the jerking, slaged agrocrustules are slurping angrily up the axle roots, and living globules fraught and slipulate like jowling meated liver slime. Group, I implore thee, my footing turling groans, and hooptiously strangle me with crinkly riddle wordles, or else I shall rend thee in the blobber words with my burgle crunch and see if I don't. So, Earthlings.
I'm not an Earthling.
Quiet. I present you with a simple choice. Think very carefully, for your very lives lie in your hands. Now choose. Either die in the vacuum of space, or tell me how good you thought my poem was.
I liked it. Oh yes, I thought that some of the metaphysical imagery was really particularly effective.
Yes?
Oh, and interesting rhythmic devices which seem to counterpoint the
Counterpoint the serialism of the underlying metaphor of the
humanity of Vogonity. Oh, Vogonity. Sorry, of the poet's compassionate soul, which strives through the medium of the verse structure to sublimate this, transcend that, and come to terms with the fundamental dichotomies of the other. And one is left with a profound and vivid insight into whatever it was the poem was about.
So, what you are saying is that I just write poetry because underneath my mean, callous, heartless exterior, I just want to be loved? Is that it?
Well, I mean, yes. Don't we all? I mean, deep down, underneath, you know?
No, you're completely wrong. I write poetry just to throw my mean, callous, heartless exterior into sharp relief. I'm going to throw you off the ship anyway. Guard, take the prisoners to number 3 airlock and throw them out.
This is great! This is really terrific! Now let go of me, you brute!
Don't worry, Arthur. I'll think of something.
Resistance is useless!
What is all this for? I woke up this morning, thought I'd have a nice, relaxed day, do a bit of reading, brush the dog. It's now just after 4 in the afternoon, and I'm already being thrown out of an alien spaceship 5 light years from the smoking remains of the Earth. All right, just stop panicking. Who said anything about panicking? This is just culture shock. You wait until I've settled down and found my bearings. Then I'll start panicking. Arthur, you're getting hysterical. Shut up!
Resistance is useless!
And you?
Resistance is useless!
I'll give it a rest. Look, do you enjoy this sort of thing?
What? What do you mean?
I mean, does it give you a full, satisfying life?
Full, satisfying life?
Yeah. Stomping around, shouting, pushing people off spaceships.
Well, the hours are good.
They'd have to be.
Ford, what are you doing?
Shh. So, the hours are good, are they?
Yeah, though, now you come to mention it, most of the actual minutes are pretty lousy. Except some of the shouting I quite like. Resistance!
Yeah, you're good at that. I can tell. But if the rest of it is so lousy, why do you do it? The girls? The rubber? The machismo?
Oh, I don't know, really. I just sort of do it. My aunt's in the spaceship guard with a good career for a young Vogon, you know. The uniform, the low-slung stun ray holster, mindless tedium.
Ford, this guy's half-throttling me.
Yeah, but try and understand his problem. Here he is, poor guy. His entire life he spent stamping around, pushing people off spaceships.
And shouting.
Yeah, and shouting. Yeah. And he doesn't even know why he's doing it.
Oh, poignant. Very poignant.
Well, put it like that.
Good lad.
All right, what's the alternative?
Well, stop doing it, of course. Tell him you're not going to do it anymore. Stand up to him.
Doesn't sound that great to me.
Oh, but that's just the start, isn't it? I mean, there's more to it than that, you see.
No, if it's all the same to you, I think I'll just get you two shoved down from the airlock and then get on with some other piece of shouting I've got to do. Resistance is useless!
No, but, I mean, come on now, look!
Oh, stop it, you beast!
Look, there's music and art and things to tell you about yet.
Well, I think I better just stick to what I know. Thanks for taking an interest.
I've got a headache. I don't want to go to heaven with a headache. I'd be all cross and wouldn't enjoy it.
No, listen. Look, there's a whole world. You know nothing about it. Now listen. How about this? How about this? Da 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 da. Doesn't that stir anything in you?
No. Well, now, I'll tell my aunt what you said.
Potentially bright lad, I thought.
We're trapped now, aren't we?
Yeah, we're trapped.
Well, didn't you think of anything?
Yeah.
What?
Unfortunately, it involved on being the other side of this hatchway.
So that's it? We're going to die?
Lakon Tango 1 Mike. Federal Flight Control requires that you request...
Wait a minute. What's this switch?
What? Where?
Access approved. You will go to approach pad 0.
I was on the phone. Gonna die after all.
You know, it's at times like this, when I'm stuck in a Vogon airlock with a man from Beetlejuice about to die of asphyxiation in deep space, that I really wish I'd listened to what my mother told me when I was young.
Why? What did she tell you?
I don't know. I didn't listen.
That was fun. That was so much fun.
Counterpoint the surrealism of the underlying metaphor. Death's no good for them.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a wholly remarkable book. The introduction starts like this. Space, it says, is big, really big. You just won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big it is. I mean, you may think it's a long way down the street to the chemist, but that's just peanuts to space. Listen, and so on. After a while, the style settles down a bit and it starts telling you things you actually need to know. Like the fact that the fabulously beautiful planet Bethselamin is now so worried about the cumulative erosion caused by over 10 billion visiting tourists a year that any net imbalance between the amount you eat and the amount you excrete whilst on the planet is surgically removed from your body weight when you leave. So every time you go to the lavatory there, it is vitally important to get a receipt. In the entry in which it talks about dying of asphyxiation 30 seconds after being thrown out of a spaceship, it goes on to say that what with space being the size it is, the chances of being picked up by another craft within those seconds are 2 to the power of 260,199 to 1 against, which by a staggering coincidence was also the telephone number of an Islington flat, where Arthur once went to a very good party, where he had some very good food, had some very good drinks, with some very good friends, and met a very nice girl, whom he totally failed to get off with.
Is this going to bore you?
Though the planet Earth, the Islington flat, and the telephone have all now been demolished, it is comforting to reflect that they are all in some small way commemorated by the fact that some 29 seconds later, Arthur and Ford were in fact rescued.
See? I told you I'd think of something.
Oh, sure.
Great idea of mine. Find a passing spaceship, get rescued by it.
Oh, come on. The chances against it were astronomical.
Don't knock it, it worked.
Incoming message.
Where the hell are we?
Well, I hardly like to say this, but it looks like the seafront at Southend.
God! I'm relieved to hear you say that.
Why?
I thought I must be going mad.
Perhaps you are. Perhaps you only thought I said that.
Well, did you or didn't you?
I think so.
Perhaps we're both going mad.
Nice day for it. Sun.
See?
You know, if this is Southend, there's something very odd about it.
What, you mean the way the sea stays steady as a rock? And the buildings keep washing up and down? Yeah. I thought that was odd.
2 to the power of 100,000 to 1 against, and falling against.
What's that?
Falling.
Sounded like a measurement of probability.
What does it mean?
I don't know. But I definitely think we're on some kind of spaceship.
Then I can only assume we're not in the first-class compartment. Southend seems to be melting away. The stars are swirling. A dust bowl. Snow. My legs drifting off into the sunset. My legs drifting off into the sunset. My left arm's disappeared. How am I going to operate my digital watch now? How am I going to operate my digital watch now? Ford, you're turning into a penguin. Stop it.
What? 2 to the power of 75,000 to 1 against, and falling.
Hey! Who are you? Where are you? What's going on? Is there anywhere to stop me?
Please relax, you are perfectly safe.
That is not the point, quite. The point is I am now a perfectly safe penguin, quite. My colleague here is rapidly running out of limbs. Isn't there anything you feel you ought to be telling us?
Welcome to the Starship Heart of Gold. Please do not be alarmed by anything you see or hear around you. You are bound to feel some initial ill effects as you have been rescued from certain death at an improbability level of 2 to the power of 260,199 to 1 against, possibly much higher. We are now cruising at a level of 2 to the power of 25,000 to 1 against, and falling, and we will be restoring normality as soon as we are sure what is normal anyway. Thank you. 2 to the power of 20,000 to 1
This is
against,
fantastic.
falling.
We've been picked up by a ship with a new infinite improbability drive. I mean, this is incredible, Arthur. What's happening?
Ford,
There's an infinite number of monkeys out here who want to talk to us about this script for Hamlet they've worked out.
The infinite improbability drive is a wonderful new method of crossing interstellar distances in a few seconds without all that tedious mucking about in hyperspace. The principle of generating small amounts of finite improbability by simply hooking the logic circuits of a Bamble-Weenie 57 submeson brain to an atomic vector plotter suspended in a strong Brownian motion producer, say a nice hot cup of tea, had long been understood. And such generators were often used to break the ice at parties by making all the molecules in the hostess's undergarments simultaneously leap 1 foot to the left, in accordance with the theory of indeterminacy. Many respectable physicists said that they weren't going to stand for that sort of thing, partly because it was a debasement of science, but mostly because they didn't get invited to those sort of parties. Another thing they couldn't stand was the perpetual failure they encountered in trying to construct a machine which could generate the infinite improbability field needed to flip a spaceship between the furthest stars. And in the end, they grumpily announced that such a machine was virtually impossible. And then, one evening, a student who had been left to sweep up the lab after a particularly unsuccessful party found himself reasoning this way. If such a machine is a virtual impossibility, then it must logically be a finite improbability. So all I have to do in order to make one is to work out exactly how improbable it is, feed that figure into the finite improbability generator, give it a fresh cup of really hot tea, and turn it on. The moment he did this, he was rather startled to discover that he had managed to create the long-sought-after infinite improbability generator out of thin air. It startled him even more when, just after he was awarded the Galactic Institute's prize for extreme cleverness, he got lynched by a rampaging mob of respectable physicists who had finally realized that the one thing they really couldn't stand was a smartass.
5 to 1 against and falling. 4 to 1 against and falling. 3 to 1, 2, 1. Probability factor of 1 to 1. We have normality. I repeat, we have normality. Anything you still can't cope with is therefore your own problem.
Who are they, Julian?
Just a couple of guys we picked up in open space. Sector ZZ9, plural Z Alpha.
Well, that's a very sweet thought, Trillian. But do you really think it's wise right now? I mean, here we are on the run and everything. We've got the police of half the galaxy after us, and we stop to pick up hitchhikers. Yeah, okay, so 10 out of 10 for style, but minus several million for good thinking, huh?
They were floating unprotected in open space. You didn't want them to die, did you?
Well, no, not as such.
A second later and they'd have been dead.
Yeah. So if you'd taken the trouble to think about it a moment longer, it would have gone away, right?
Anyway, I didn't pick them up. The ship did, all by itself.
Hey, what? The ship picked them up all by itself. The ship picked it. Oh, forget it and go back to sleep, will you?
We picked them up while we were in infinite improbability drive.
That's incredible!
No, just very, very improbable. Look, don't worry about the aliens. They're just a couple of guys, I expect. I'll send the robot down to check them out. Hey, Marvin!
I think you ought to know I'm feeling very depressed.
Oh, God.
Well, here's something to occupy you and take your mind off things.
It won't work. I have an exceptionally large mind.
Marvin.
All right. What do you want me to do?
Go down to number 3 entry bay and bring the 2 aliens up here under surveillance.
Just that?
Yes.
I won't enjoy it.
She's not asking you to enjoy it. Just do it, will you?
All right, I'll do it.
Oh, good, great. Thank you.
I'm not getting you down at all, am I?
No, Marvin, that's just fine, really.
I wouldn't like to think I was getting you down.
No, don't you worry about that. You just act as comes naturally and everything will be fine.
You're sure you don't mind?
No, it's all just part of life.
Life? Don't talk to me about life.
I don't think I can stand that robot much longer, Zaphod.
The Encyclopedia Galactica defines a robot as a mechanical apparatus designed to do the work of a man. The marketing division of the Sirius Cybernetics Corporation defines a robot as your plastic pal who's fun to be with.
Your plastic pal who's fun to be with.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy defines the marketing division of the Sirius Cybernetics Corporation as a bunch of mindless jerks who'll be the first against the wall when the revolution comes, with a footnote to the effect that the editors would welcome applications from anyone interested in taking over the post of robotics correspondent. Curiously enough, an edition of the Encyclopedia Galactica that fell through a time warp from 1,000 years in the future defines the marketing division of the Sirius Cybernetics Corporation as a bunch of mindless jerks who were the first against the wall when the revolution came.
I think this ship is brand new, Arthur.
Why? Have you got some exotic device for measuring the age of metal?
I just found this sales brochure lying on the floor. It says the universe can be yours for a mere 5 quilliard Alterian dollars.
Cheap?
A quilliard is a whole page full of noughts with a 1 at the beginning. Listen. This is what I was after. Sensational new breakthrough in improbability physics. As the ship's drive reaches infinite improbability, it passes simultaneously through every point in the universe. Be the envy of other major governments. I mean, wow! This is really big league stuff.
Wow. It's a whole lot better than that dingy Vogon crate. This is my idea of a spaceship. All gleaming metal, flashing lights, everything. Oh. I wonder what'll happen if I press this button.
Don't.
Oh.
What happened?
A sign lit up saying, please do not press this button again.
They make a big thing of the ship's cybernetics. A new generation of Sirius Cybernetics Corporation computers and robots with a new GPP feature.
GPP? What's that?
It says, genuine people personalities.
Ugh, sounds ghastly.
It is.
What?
It all is. Absolutely ghastly. Just don't even talk about it. Look at this door. All the doors in this spacecraft have a cheerful and sunny disposition. It is their pleasure to open for you and their satisfaction to close again with the knowledge of a job well done.
Glad to be of service.
Hateful, isn't it? Come on. I've been ordered to take you up to the bridge. Here I am, brain the size of a planet, and they tell me to take you up to the bridge. Call that job satisfaction? 'Cause I don't.
Hey, excuse me, which government owns this ship?
You watch this door. It's about to open again. I can tell by the intolerable air of smugness it suddenly generates.
Please enjoy your trip through this door.
Come on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, the marketing division of the Sirius Cybernetics Corporation.
Excuse me, which government owns...
Let's build robots with genuine people personalities, they said. So they tried it out with me. I'm a personality prototype. You can tell, can't you?
Which government
I
owns this...
hate that door. I'm not getting you down, am I?
Look, which government owns...
No government owns it. It's been stolen.
Stolen?
Stolen?
Who by?
Zaphod Beeblebrox.
Zaphod Beeblebrox?
Sorry. Did I say something wrong? Pardon me for breathing, which I never do anyway, so I don't know why I bother to say. Oh, God, I'm so depressed. Here's another one of those self-satisfied doors. Life. Don't talk to me about life.
No one even mentioned it.
Glad to be of service.
Really? Zaphod Beeblebrox?
Reports brought to you here on the sub-ether wave band, broadcasting around the galaxy around the clock. We'll be saying a big hello to all intelligent life forms everywhere, and to everyone else out there, the secret is to bang the rocks together, guys. And of course, the big news story tonight is the sensational theft of the new improbability prototype ship by none other than Zaphod Beeblebrox. And the question everyone's asking is, has the big Z finally flipped? Beeblebrox, the man who invented the pan-galactic goggle blaster, ex-confidence trickster, part-time galactic president, once described by Eccentrica Golumbitz, the triple-breasted whore of Eroticon 6, as the best bang since the big one, and recently voted the worst sentient being in the universe for the 7th time running. Has he got an answer this time? We asked his private brain care specialist, Gag Hellfront.
Then look, Zaphod's just this guy, you know.
Beeblebrox stole the improbability drive ship when he was, in fact, meant to be launching it.
Hey, kid, what did you do that for?
I just thought of something.
Yeah, worth interrupting a news bulletin about me for?
Look, can we leave your ego out of this? This is important.
If there's anything more important than my ego around here, I want it caught and shot now.
Listen, we picked up those couple of guys.
Hey, what couple of guys?
The couple of guys we picked up?
Oh, yeah, those couple of guys.
We picked them up in Sector ZZ9, plural Z Alpha.
Yeah!
Does that mean anything to you?
For Sector ZZ9, plural Z Alpha?
Well?
Yeah, what does a Z mean?
Well, which one?
Anyone.
Look, would you mind looking at the galactic charts?
Hey, that's wild! I mean, how did we come to be there? We should have zapped right into the middle of the Horsehead Nebula, and that is nowhere.
The improbability drive. We pass through every point in the universe. You know that.
Yeah, but like actually picking those dudes up at that point is just too wild a coincidence. I want to work this out. Hey, computer.
Hi there. Whatever your problem, I'm here to help you solve it. All I want to do is to make your day more and more bearable.
And shut up and work something out for me, will you?
A probability forecast based on...
Improbability data, yeah.
Okay. Did you know that most people's lives are governed by telephone numbers?
Telephone numbers?
And then, of course, I've got this terrible pain in all the diodes down my left side.
Really?
Oh, yes. I mean, I've asked for them to be replaced, but no one ever listens.
I can imagine.
Well. Zaphod Beeblebrox.
I don't believe it. This is just too amazing, Trillian. Trillian! Oh, this is gonna be great. I am gonna be so amazingly cool, it would fluster a vegan snow lizard. What real cool? Several million points out of 10 for style. Right. Now, which is the most nonchalant chair to be discovered in? Yup.
Glad to be of service.
I suppose you'll want to see the aliens now. Do you want me to sit in a corner and rust, or just fall apart where I'm standing?
Show them in, please, Marvin. Ford, hi. How are you? Glad you could drop in.
Huh? Oh, hi, Zaphod. Great to see you. You're looking well. The extra arm suits you. Hey, this is a great ship you've stolen.
Ford, you mean you know this person?
Know him? He's my... Oh, hey, Zaphod. I'd like you to meet a great friend of mine, Arthur Dent. I saved him when his planet blew up.
Sure. Hi, Arthur. Glad you could make it.
And Arthur, this is my...
We've met.
What?
Oh, have we? Hey.
What do you mean, met? This is Zaphod Beeblebrox from Beetlejuice 5, you know, not bloody Martin Smith from Croydon.
I don't care. We've met, haven't we, Zaphod? Or should I say, Phil?
What?
At a party 6 months ago?
Hey, I really doubt that, you know.
On Earth? England? London? Islington?
Oh, hey, yeah, that party.
What? You mean you've been to that miserable little planet as well?
I may have just dropped in, you know, on my way somewhere.
At this party was a girl I was after. Beautiful, charming, devastatingly intelligent, everything I'd been saving myself up for. Along comes this friend of yours and says, "Hey, doll, is this guy boring you? Why don't you come and talk to me? I'm from a different planet."
Zaphod?
Well, of course, he only had the 2 arms and the 1 head and called himself Phil, but...
But you must admit he did turn out to be from a different planet.
Good heavens, Tricia Macmillan.
Trillion to you.
Infinity -1. Improbability sum now complete. For my next trip...
Shut up.
What are you doing here?
Same as you. I hitched a lift. After all, with a degree in maths and another in astrophysics, it was either that or back to the Dole queue on Monday.
Oh, God. Ford, this is Trillian. Hi. Trillian, this is my semi-cousin Ford, who shares 3 of the same mothers with me. Hi. Trillian, is this sort of thing going to happen every time we use the infinite improbability drive?
Very probably, I'm afraid.
Zaphod Beeblebrox, this is a very large drink. Hi.
Far back in the mists of ancient time, in the great and glorious days of the former Galactic Empire, life was wild, rich, and on the whole, tax-free. Mighty starships plied their way between exotic suns, seeking adventure and reward amongst the furthest reaches of galactic space. In those days, spirits were brave, the stakes were high, men were real men, women were real women, and small furry creatures from Alpha Centauri were real small furry creatures from Alpha Centauri. And all dared to brave unknown terrors, to
that
do
is
mighty
what I was
deeds,
looking for,
to boldly split infinitives
and yet
that no
more
man
than
had
I was
split before.
looking for.
And thus was the Empire forged.
Almost 50 Earth mass.
Many men, of course, became extremely rich, but this was perfectly natural and nothing to be ashamed of, because no one was really poor, at least no one worth speaking of. And for these extremely rich merchants, life eventually became rather dull. And it seemed that none of the worlds they settled on was entirely satisfactory. Either the climate wasn't quite right in the later part of the afternoon, or the day was half an hour too long, or the sea was just the wrong shade of pink. And thus were created the conditions for a staggering new form of industry, custom-made luxury planet building. home of this industry was the planet Magrathea, where vast hyperspatial engineering works were constructed to suck matter through white holes in space and form it into dream planets, lovingly made to meet the exacting standards of the galaxy's richest people. And so successful was this venture that very soon Magrathea itself became the richest planet of all time, and the rest of the galaxy was reduced to abject poverty. And so the system broke down, the empire collapsed, and a long, sullen silence settled over the galaxy. Magrathea itself disappeared, and its memory soon passed into the obscurity of legend. In these enlightened days, of course, no one believes a word of it.
I'm sorry, I don't believe a word of it.
Listen to me, Ford. I found it. I swear I found it.
Magrathea?
Yeah.
A non-existent planet?
Yeah. No. Listen, it's
myth. Magrathea is a fairy story. It's what parents tell their children at night when they want them to grow up to become economists.
And we are currently in orbit around it.
Seaford, I can't help what you may personally be in orbit around, but this ship...
Computer!
Oh, no.
Hi there. This is Eddie, your shipboard computer, and I'm feeling just great, guys. And I know I'm just going to get a bundle of kicks out of any program you care to run through me.
Is this necessary?
Computer, tell us again what our current trajectory is.
A real pleasure, fella. We are currently in orbit at an altitude of 300 miles around the legendary planet of Magrathea. Golly.
Proving nothing. I wouldn't trust that computer to speak my weight.
I can do that for you, sure.
No, thank you.
I can even work out your personality problems to 10 decimal places if it'll help.
Take us down, computer. Take us down nice and low.
What's going on?
According to Zaphod, Magrathea is this legendary planet which no one else seriously believes in. And now we're gonna land on it.
Oh. Is there any tea on this spaceship?
Now look, that is the planet we are currently orbiting around, and that is the planet of Magrathea. Look, they're the same. Check, 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 check.
Yeah, check, 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 check.
Can we see it at all? Computer?
Hi there.
Hi. Can we see it?
From up here? No way. You wouldn't want to anyway. It's just cold and gray and a whole bunch of no fun.
Oh, great. For this, I get my ears pierced.
Hey, listen. With half the wealth of the former Galactic Empire stored in it somewhere, it can afford to look frumpy.
I still don't believe you.
Why not?
You tend to lie a lot.
Hey.
I think it's just any old dead planet.
The suspense is killing me.
Stress and nervous tension are now serious social problems in all parts of the galaxy. And it is in order that this situation should not be in any way exacerbated that the following facts will now be revealed in advance. The planet in question is, in fact, Magrathea. The deadly missile attack, shortly to be launched by an ancient automatic defense system, will merely result in the breakage of 3 coffee cups with a mouse hole, the bruising of someone's upper arm, and the untimely creation and sudden demise of a bowl of petunias and an innocent sperm whale. In order that some sense of mystery should still be preserved, no revelation will yet be made concerning whose upper arm has been bruised. This fact may safely be made the subject of suspense, since it is of no significance whatsoever. Arthur's next question is very complex and difficult, and Zaphod's answer is wrong in every important respect.
Is it safe?
Of course it's safe. Magrathea's been dead for over 5 million years.
What's that?
Greetings to you.
Computer?
Hi there.
What's this?
Oh, just some 5 million-year-old holotape that's being broadcast at us.
This is a recorded announcement, as I'm afraid we're all out at the moment. The Commercial Council of Magrathea thanks you
from ancient
for your visit, but regrets that the entire planet is temporarily closed for business. Thank you. If you would like to leave your name and the address of the planet where you can be contacted, kindly speak when you hear the tone.
They want us to leave. What do we do?
It's just a recording. We keep going. Got that, computer?
I got it.
Most gratifying that your enthusiasm for our planet continues unabated.
And so we would like to assure you that the guiding missiles currently converging with your ship are part of a special service we extend to all of our most enthusiastic clients. And the fully armed nuclear warheads are, of course, merely a courtesy detail. We look forward to your custom in future lives. Thank you.
Well, if that's their sales pitch, what's it like in the complaints department?
Listen, you semi-evolved simian. Will you crowbar this into your cranium? We just triggered off an ancient recording device. It's nothing. It doesn't apply to us.
What about the missiles?
Missiles? You want to make me laugh? Show me some missiles.
I think they're going to have a very good try at applying to us.
What?
This is terrific. They're trying to kill us. You know what that means?
Yes, we're going to die.
Yeah! No, maybe. Look, it means there's something down there they don't want us to have. And if they don't want us to have it that badly, then I want to have it even worse.
You mean there is someone down there?
Yeah, not now. It's all automatic defense systems, right?
What are we going to do?
Just keep cool.
Is that all?
No. We're also going to take evasive action. Right, computer, what evasive action can we take?
None, I'm afraid, guys.
Something.
There's something jamming my guidance systems. Impact minus 150 seconds. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Please call me Eddie if it will help you relax.
Right, computer. I want full manual control of this ship now.
You got it.
But can you fly her?
No, can you?
No.
What? No. Fine, we'll do it together.
Fine.
I can't either.
Yeah, I guessed. Okay, computer, activate the manual consoles.
Sure thing. Good luck, guys. Impact minus 125 seconds.
Veering too far.
I can't hold it very fast. Spin. Then dive her out of it. Dive!
It is, of course, more or less at this point that one of our heroes sustains a slight bruise to the upper arm. This should be emphasized because, as has already been revealed, they escape otherwise completely unharmed, and the deadly nuclear missiles do not eventually hit the ship. Our hero's safety is absolutely assured.
Impact minus 88 seconds,
The rockets
guys.
are still homing in. You can't shake them. We're going to die.
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high.
Shut that bloody computer up!
Do you think we could stabilize the next 00547 if we split our flight path tangentially across the summit vector of 9GX78 with a 5-degree inertial correction?
Oh, yeah, I expect so. Yeah. Just do it, will you? Do you think she's bluffing?
Here goes.
Hey, where'd you learn to stunt like that?
Going round Hyde Park Corner on a moped.
What?
I'll tell you later. Hold tight.
The missiles are swinging round and gaining on us. We are quite definitely going to die.
You walk on.
Hey, why don't we use the improbability drive?
Yeah, what are you, crazy? Without programming, anything could happen.
Whereas at the moment, we just definitely die. Is that it?
Does anybody have a good reason for not using the improbability drive?
Impact minus 4 seconds. It's been great getting to know all you guys. God bless.
I said, does anybody have a good reason for not using the improbability?
Well, I was saying, there's this switch here.
Where are we, Trillian?
Well, exactly where we were, I think.
What about the missiles?
Well, according to the screen, they've turned into a large bowl of petunias and a very surprised-looking whale.
At an improbability level of 8,767,128 to 1 against.
Hey, what did you think of that, Earthman?
Well, all I did was...
That's a pretty hoopy piece of thinking, you know that?
Well, it was nothing, really.
Oh, was it? Oh, well, forget it then. Okay, computer, take us into land.
Well, I mean, I say it was nothing. Obviously, it was something. I was just trying to say it's not worth making too much of a fuss about. I mean, saving everybody's lives.
Another thing that nobody made too much fuss about was the fact that against all probability a sperm whale had suddenly been called into existence some miles above the surface of an alien planet. And since this is not a naturally tenable position for a whale, this innocent creature had very little time to come to terms with its identity as a whale before it had to come to terms with suddenly not being a whale anymore.
What's happening? Excuse me? Who am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose in life? Right, who am I? Now, calm down, get right now. Oh, this is an interesting sensation. What is it? It's a sort of yawning, tingling sensation in my... Well, I suppose I better start finding names for things. So, let's call it my stomach. So, a yawning, tingling sensation in my stomach. Good. And a whistling, roaring sound that can be wind. Perhaps I can find a better name for it later when I find out what it's for, because there certainly seems to be a hell of a lot of it. Hey, what's this thing? Let's call it a tail. Yeah, tail. Hey, I can really thrash it about pretty good, can't I? Wow! Wow! Hey! It doesn't seem to achieve much, but I'll probably work out what it's for later on. Hey, this is really exciting. So much to find out about, so much to look forward to. I'm quite dizzy with anticipation. Or is it the wind? And wow! What's this thing suddenly coming toward me very fast? Very, very fast. So big and flat and wide. It is a big, wide-sounding word like round, round, round. That's it. Round. I wonder if it'll be friends with me.
Curiously enough, the only thing that went through the mind of the bowl of petunias as it fell was, oh no, not again. Many people have speculated that if we knew exactly why the bowl of petunias had thought that, we should know a lot more about the universe than we do now. Meanwhile, Trillian is about to announce a discovery of astounding importance, though this is not immediately recognized by her companions.
Hey, my white mice have escaped!
Nuts to your white mice.
Are we taking this paranoid android?
Oh, yeah, we'll take him.
Don't feel you have to take any notice of me, please.
What are you supposed to do with a manically depressed robot?
You think you've got problems? What are you supposed to do if you are a manically depressed robot? No, don't try to answer that. I'm 50,000 times more intelligent than you, and even I don't know the answer. It gives me a headache just trying to think down to your level.
Good afternoon, boys.
What's that?
Well, that's just the computer. I discovered it had this emergency backup personality I thought might work out better.
Now, this is going to be your first day on a strange planet, so I want you all wrapped up, snug and warm, and no playing with any naughty bug-eyed monsters.
Or maybe we'd be better off with a slide rule.
Right? Who said that?
Will you open up that exit hatch, please, computer?
Not until whoever set that owns up.
Oh, God.
Computer.
I'm waiting. I can wait all day if necessary.
Computer, if you don't open that exit hatch pretty damn pronto, I shall go straight to your major databanks with a very large axe and give you a reprogramming you will never forget. Capisco? Okay, get the axe.
Please enjoy your day on this planet.
I can see this relationship as something we're all going to have to work at.
Hey, come on, you guys. Let's go. Yeah.
It's fantastic. Desolate hole.
It's all so stark and dreary.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's only just getting through to me. A whole new alien world, thousands of light years away from home. And yet such a dump.
I think I could have a better time in a cat litter.
What's this?
Well, meat.
guys, we've got to get into this planet.
I am not into it.
No, into it.
Into it?
Yeah, would you stay out here in a dump like this? The Magrathians all lived underground, you know.
Why? Did the surface become too polluted or overpopulated?
No, they just didn't like it very much.
Zaphod! Look, there's an opening in the ground.
Looks like a tunnel.
Okay, guys, here we go. Let's get on in there. Into the interior of the planet. That is where we have to go. Down into the very depths of time itself, where no man has trod these 5 million years. We are not going to be great. We are not going to be amazing. We are going to be amazingly amazing.
Sounds awful.
Can it, Marvin?
Life. Loathe it or ignore it. You can't like it.
Are you sure you know what you're doing? We've been attacked once already, you know.
Look, kid, I promise you, the live population of this planet is nil plus the 5 of us. Let's get on in there. Okay?
Okay.
Hey, Earthman. Earthman.
Arthur?
Yeah. Could you just sort of keep the robot with you and guard this end of the passageway, okay?
Guard? What from? I thought you said there was no one here.
Yeah, well, just for safety, okay?
Whose? Yours or mine?
Good lad. Okay, here we go.
Well, I hope you all have a really miserable time.
Don't worry, they will.
Come on.
Spooky, eh? And dark.
Still got your sunglasses on.
Too right.
Hey, look at this. Any idea what these strange symbols on the walls are, Zaphod?
Yeah. I think they're strange symbols of some kind. It's hard to tell with my shades on.
I wish I had heads like you, Zaphod. I could have endless fun bashing them against walls.
Hey, don't bug me, Ford. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. These are the greatest shades in the known sky. Just take a look at the copy.
Jugenta 200 superchromatic peril-sensitive sunglasses to help you develop a relaxed attitude to danger. At the first hint of trouble, they turn totally black and thus prevent you from